Hello children, today we are going to start with the new topic statistics. So in this, we are going to understand to make the frequency distribution table. Now, as the heading you can see over here. Now, before understanding that how to draw the frequency distribution table, you need to know why you need to draw this frequency distribution table means what and why it is necessary. So here you can see that on the next slide I've said that when collecting data is very important. So collection of data, why do you need to collect data? Suppose if you want to carry out any experiment, or you need to, if you are planning to carry out any survey regarding the first people who are literate in your area uh, in 1 year, like for example 2020, if you're planning to find out how many people are literate in your area, and the next year you try to carry out the same survey, that how many people are literate, and you are going to collect the data. So the collection of data is very necessary, that you need to tabulate it so that it will be there with you in a proper format, so that you can compare the results. So here when you want to carry a survey, you will prepare a questionnaire, and then you will be collecting the data when the people are answering that questionnaire, and you'll be comparing the data. So it's very easy if you have it in a tabulate form or in a form of table, so that comparison, then making a report, if you want to draw the table with the help of that frequency distribution table, will go easier. So basically frequency distribution table is drawn or is made for um, so that you can tabulate the data which is collected, and accordingly you will know how many people are literate, in which age group they belong to. All this you will have a record in a systematic manner. Okay children, so this is about data collection and tabulation. So when you are drawing the frequency distribution table, it's necessary to understand that how many columns, how many rows will be there in that particular frequency distribution table. So frequency distribution table, there is a format to draw that table, and you need to follow that format when you are drawing that table. If you don't follow the format, it goes wrong. So format is important, and how to write it, how many columns you need to draw, all that you need to understand. So whenever you are drawing frequency distribution table, you can see it on the screen, that this particular table comprises of 3 columns. Okay, now first column, you can see it's written score. Now this particular table I have written over here, it is for individual data. Individual data means you can see the data which you have collected over here as 5, 3, 4, 5. So for example, you are playing a match. Okay. And when you're playing the match, like what score your team has got, that you have written, like 5 in the first match, then 3 was the score in the second match, then 4. So you have randomly written it 5, 3, 4, 3. Now this is in a random sequence. Now you want to arrange it in a proper format. You want to write it in a systematic order. So what you will do, you will draw 3 columns. Okay, after that. Now when you're drawing 3 columns, means you're preparing a frequency distribution table for systematic arrangement of your raw data. Raw means just collected. When you're writing it down in a random order, that's known as a raw format. So now you are arranging it in a systematic format. So here you can see you have written the score. When you're writing the score, you are arranging in the increasing order. So first you can see from this score, 2 is the minimum score what you have or your team has scored. So minimum score will come first, and then you will arrange in the ascending order. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is the maximum score. So minimum and maximum you will arrange using the minimum and till the maximum in the increasing order. So this is how you will write the score in the first column, because this is the individual data. So this is known as ungrouped table, frequency distribution table. So ungroup means whatever data you have collected, minimum and maximum you are going to compare, and you are going to write all the numbers in between that in the ascending order. Okay, children, so this is score, and then you are arranging that. This is the first column. Second column is the tally marks. We are going to understand that later. So second column, tally marks and frequency. This is about the individual data, that is the ungrouped. Now second frequency table is for the grouped data. So that we will see grouped data. Now here the information like, for example, you are planning to carry out a survey in your society, and you want to find out how many people are in the age group of 19 to 29. Then 29 to 34, like this you have arranged a group. So you have decided the group that 19 to 29, 29 to 34, 34 to 39, 39 to 44, like that you have arranged the group. Okay, so now this is known as the grouped uh, frequency distribution table, because you have formed a group, that is 19 to 29, then 29 to 34. And accordingly, the first column you'll write the people's age, and you will write the class interval. This is known as class interval. There we have written score because it is the individual data, and there it was the score what you have scored. But here it is the age of the people. So it is, you can directly write, instead of writing the age, you can write class interval, because here you can see that this is in a grouped form. So 19 to 29. So for better understanding, we'll go to the next slide. That what is the meaning of class interval? So when you are grouping it, you are writing it from this to this, like from 19 to 29, as you have arranged in the previous slide. So class interval now can be of two forms. One is the discrete form and the other is the continuous form. Now discrete form means what? Discrete means, you will see over here, this is 40 to 43. But now next class interval is not having 43. It's starting with 44, the next number, 44 to 47. So now 47, and then it will be starting with 48. And here you can see it is the differences of 3, because 47 minus 44 is 3. And 43 minus 40 is 3. So this is a difference of 3. So 48 to 51 will be the next class interval. So this is known as a discrete class interval, where you can see see, when we are talking about the class interval, you should know what is the first number. You can see that it is starting with 40. So this is first value. So when the class interval begins with certain value, that beginning value is known as lower limit. And it ends with certain value, that is, you can see over here it is 43. So when it ends with certain value, that value is known as upper limit. So this is lower limit 40, and 43 is the upper limit. So when the upper limit, you can see this is the upper limit for the first class interval, and this is the lower limit of the second class interval. When the upper limit of the first class interval and the lower limit of the second class interval are not same, then that particular class interval is in discrete form. Okay, so it is a grouped class interval, grouped frequency distribution table, where we have grouped certain numbers, but in that grouping you can see that the upper limit of the previous class interval and the lower limit of the second class interval are not same. So then you can see it is known as discrete. So here you can see that always the difference will be of 3 numbers, because the difference has to be the same, right? Now second type is the continuous form. So here I have written it for you. So 10 to 20. So the low, here you can see the upper limit and the lower limit. Lower limit of the first class interval is 10 and the upper limit is 20. Then you can see over here, the lower limit of the second class interval is matching to the upper limit of the first class interval, means it is same. So when it is same, it is in the continuous form. Okay, so this is the difference between the discrete form of class interval and the continuous form of class interval. Discrete means you can see that the upper limit and the lower limit of first and second class interval are different. They are not matching, they are not same. Then if they are different, it is known as discrete. But here you can see in this class interval, the first class interval's upper limit and the second class interval's lower limit is same. Then it is in a continuous form. So children, I hope till here you have understood that when you are writing the first column, there are two types of frequency distribution table. If it is the individual data or the ungrouped frequency distribution table, in that, in the first column, whatever uh, the data what you have collected, if it is a score, if it is the age, it will be in the individual form. But when you are writing it in the group form, you are going to write the heading class interval. And after that, you are going to write the class interval where the difference will be same, first thing. And there are two forms. One is the discrete form and the continuous form. So the class interval will be given to you in the question, and accordingly you have to write. So this is the meaning of the discrete and the continuous form has to be clear in your mind. So when you're writing it, you will not get confused. So I hope that it is clear. And if you have any doubt, please write it in the comment. Okay, children. Now we go to the next part. It includes, the second column includes tally marks. Now what is the meaning of tally marks? Tally marks means it is a vertical line which is drawn to the corresponding data. Okay, so here I'll show it to you. Here you can see that this is the vertical line which is drawn. So now you can see that what we have done is, so here you can see that when you're writing for 2, so this is 5. So you will write when 5, where 5 is there, one tally mark, means one line will be drawn, vertical line. Then here you can see 3. So you will be drawing, I'm writing it in this column because this column is already filled. You're not supposed to write here. I'm just showing you how to do it. We are going to do it for one question from the exercise which we'll be solving. 4 means one tally mark. Now you will go on cancelling when you're putting the tally mark. Then 5, so that you will not be confused at where you went. One more tally mark. Then 6, you will put again in front of 6 one tally mark. Then its next number is 7, so you'll put again 7 one tally mark. Then the next number is 2, so you'll write one tally mark over here. That is how you'll be going on writing the tally mark and then striking out the number for which you have put the tally mark. 3, so you'll be writing tally marks over here. Okay, now 6, so you'll write tally mark over here. Then 3, so you'll put tally mark over here. Then 5, so you'll put tally mark over here. Now 3, so you will put the 4th tally mark over here. Now 2, so you'll put your tally mark. 7, so you'll put in front of 7. Then 6, you'll put in front of 6. Okay. 4, so you'll put in front of 4. 3, so you'll put in. Now here you can see there are 4 lines. So for the third, when you're writing 3, you will strike off. So just strike off this. So it goes easier for you. You don't have to calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you see a strike off, you can understand that this is 5. So calculation goes easier. So tally marks when you are writing. So you will go to the next slide. I just wanted to, understand that how you have to go about it. We'll be practicing once, so that time you'll be understanding. So we'll just go to the next slide where we were on the tally marks for you to understand that what is the meaning of tally mark. So here you can see tally marks is the vertical line, how I am drawing it for the corresponding data, and the fifth tally mark you put across. So you can strike it. How to strike it, whether to start from right to left or left to right, it's not important. Just strike it off. Anyways, left to right is also correct, right to left is also correct. So striking out is important. So you have to just put a cross, you have to strike one line across. This makes a group of 5, which is easy to count. So you know that it's a group of 5. Now the third column, it includes frequency. So you have to write the heading when you're writing the heading. For the first column, if it is in a group form, class interval. Second column, tally marks. And the third column, the heading will be frequency. So in frequency, what are you going to do is you're going to count the number of tally marks and write under the third column. So I'll just show you an example over here in this table. So for example, you will see that here it's 2 has 3 tally marks. So you'll be just counting it and writing 3. So this is your frequency. Now here you can see it is 5 plus 1 and 2, that is 7. So then frequency is 7. Frequency means how many times the score was repeated. So you can say 7 times the number 3 or the score 3 was repeated. 3 times score 2 was repeated. 2 times score 4 was repeated. So that is known as the frequency. How many times frequency means. So the third column will include frequency. Here you can see 5 score was repeated 6 times. So the frequency is 6. 6 was 5 times. So the frequency is 5. Then 7 2 times. So the frequency is 2. So I hope children till here it's clear about the columns, about the format, which is important for you to understand. Now we go to the next part. Now after you know how to do it, it's very important that if you have been given the frequency distribution table in discrete form, the class interval is in discrete form, and you want to convert it into continuous form, how to go about it? So here you have to understand that you have to find the adjustment factor. Now the formula for adjustment factor is lower limit of one class minus upper limit of the previous class upon 2. Okay, and this adjustment factor you have to subtract from the lower limit and add to the upper limit. Okay, so let's see one example. Now for example, this example I'm taking 40 to 43, 44 to 47. Now I want to convert this particular class interval, which is in discrete form. I want to convert it in a continuous form. So I have to find the adjustment factor for this. Now how will you find the adjustment factor for this? So you'll be using the formula, that is the lower limit of one class, means this is the lower limit, and the upper limit of another class. So you are going to subtract this two numbers and divide it with 2. So 44 minus 43, and you are going to divide it with 2. So that is 1 upon 2, that is 0.5. Okay, so the answer is 0.5. This is the adjustment factor. Now this adjustment factor, what are you going to do is you are going to subtract and add. Means from here you will be subtracting from the lower limit. Always remember that you will subtract. So lower limit subtract, upper limit add. So when you subtract it from 40, you will get 39.5 over here, the new class limit. I'm just writing it over here, children. So 39.5, and here from 43, if you subtract, you will get 42.5. Sorry, you'll be subtracting from the lower and adding. So adding it will give you 43.5. Sorry. So remember, from lower limit subtract. So from lower limit subtract, from to upper limit add. So A over here, addition over here, and subtraction over here. So lower limit subtraction, upper limit addition. Now 43, 44 and 47, you can see over here. When you subtract from here, you'll be getting 43.5. I'm just writing it over here, children. So 43.5. And when you add, you will get 47.5. Okay, 0.5 adding. So upper limit addition, lower limit subtraction, just remember it. So you'll be adding over here in the upper limit. So now you can see that you can see over here, children, that 39.5 to 43.5 and then 43.5 to 47.5. Now can you see it's same? The lower limit and the upper limit, the lower limit of this and the upper limit of the previous one is same. So this is how you can convert the discrete form in a continuous form by finding the adjustment factor, and that adjustment factor you're going to subtract from the lower limit and add to the upper limit. Okay, children. So subtract lower limit, add upper limit. Follow? Okay, children. So now till here, I hope it's clear. Now we go to the actual exercise 15A, question 1. So here you can see the following are the ages of 30 children in years it is given. This is the age which is given for the pre-primary school. Now this age is the individual age, like one child is 3 years, the second child is 4 years, third child is 5 years old. So 30 children and their age group. Okay, so it's written in a raw data, it is known as. Now you have to prepare a frequency distribution table and ungrouped. Ungrouped means individual data. So here you have to find out which is the minimum age group. So minimum age group you can see it's starting with 3 and maximum age group it's 6. So when you are writing the frequency distribution table, your first column you will write age of children because it is the individual data. So you will not write the heading class interval, you will be writing age group. So here you have to write age in years. Then second column you will be writing tally marks. Third column heading will be frequency. Okay. So the question which was, this particular table, this raw data, I have written it over here so it becomes easier. And now we will see how to go about it, how to mark the tally marks. Okay. So when you're marking, please strike off the number. So now you can see that I have arranged the minimum age was 3 years in ascending order, then it is 4, then 5, and the maximum is 6. So I've arranged it in increasing order. Now I'll be putting the tally marks accordingly and striking off the number which I'm putting the tally marks for. So it is 3. So I'm writing 1 tally mark in front of 3. So 1 tally mark. Please copy this sum in your notebook. 4. So I'm striking this 4 and putting 1 tally mark in front of 4. 5. I'm striking off 5, putting 1 tally mark in front of 5. 3. Striking off 3, putting 1 tally mark in front of 3. 4. Striking off 4, putting 1 tally mark. 5. Striking off 5, putting 1 tally mark. 6. Striking off 6, putting 1 tally mark in front of 6. 3. Striking off 3, putting tally mark in front of 3. Striking off 4, putting 1 tally mark in front of 4. Striking off 5, putting 1 tally mark in front of 5. Striking off 6, putting tally mark in front of 6. Striking off 3, putting 1 tally mark in front of 3. Striking off 3. Now you can see it has become 4. Now this is the 5th one. So I'll just from here to here I'll put across. Okay, I'll strike it like that. Now 4, putting 1 tally mark in front of 4. 5, striking off 5, putting 1 tally mark in front of 5. 6, striking of 6, putting one tally mark in front of 6. 5, striking of 5. You can see over here it's 4 now. The fifth one you're going to put across like this. Now you'll start once again. 5, put once again tally mark. So it's a group of 5, then you have to start once again. Now 4, striking of 4. Now you can see 4 is also in a group of 4, so I'll strike it like that. 3, I'll strike off 3, put one tally mark here. Strike it off, put one tally mark. Strike it 4, put one tally mark over here. Strike 5, put one tally mark for 5. Strike 4, put one tally mark for 4. Strike 4 and put one tally mark for 4. Strike 5 and put one tally mark for 5. Strike 6, put one tally mark for 6. Again there is 6. Now children, here you can see it's a group of 4, so I have to strike it off like this. 3, strike 3, put one tally mark for 3. Strike 3 and put one tally mark for 3. Okay. Now it's time to write the frequency. So you can see this is a group of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So frequency is 9. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. So frequency is 8. You have to count the number of tally marks. So 5, 8, because 3 lines, so 8. This is 5. Now children, this total, because it was given to us 30 children, so this frequency when you add, it should match your total which is given in the question. Then it shows that you have done it correctly, because you can make mistakes when you're striking and when you're putting the tally mark. So be careful. Strike it off carefully and do it with full concentration. If you do it with complete concentration, you will not make any mistakes. So be careful while doing it. It's easy. You'll feel it interesting. Now add and check if this total is coming right. So 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21. 21 plus 9 is 30. Yes, we have got it right. So children, I hope you have understood that how to draw the frequency distribution table. So today we'll be stopping with this one example or first question of this exercise. You do it for yourself, and second question which is given in the textbook, okay, try to do it as a practice. Let's see if you are able to do it. Otherwise, write it in the comment box. I'll definitely help you out with that. Okay children, thank you.